Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Amanda. For those of you that are new here, for those of you that have been here before to the channel, welcome back again. And to family, hi, how you going? Alrighty. It's a weekend, which means my husband is home and he's outside on the excavator and he's about to drag me back outside. It's been a busy day for me already, but it's time to now go back outside and do some work. We've got a roof to the stable that is going to hopefully be attached by the end of today, if not tomorrow. But he's working out in the vegetable garden at the moment, pulling out some old beds, and so that's where the asparagus is. So I do need to go out there to make sure he doesn't pull them out with the excavator. This morning I was doing some work and I was filling up the pantry because I've been on the challenge for a few months, and there were some items that I use for baking as well as everyday use that was lacking in the cupboard, and they're items that we can easily make ourselves at home. And so because of that I went, you know what, let's just make them. So I was tidying up a bag of sugar. Unfortunately, you'll see why in a moment, but I needed to top up my sugar jars, which are these great big giant things here. So I was refilling the sugar jars that I use on a regular basis from my bulk store, and had mistakenly left the bag open and hadn't had a chance to individually seal up the remaining 20 odd kilos. You'll see what happens about that very soon. So while I was dealing with sugar, I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and make all of the sugar things that I would normally have in the pantry that I was running out of. I was out of sugar syrup for coffee. So I made my own. It's easy. 2 ingredients, water and sugar. This one has 3 though. This one does have molasses added to it as well. So I'll take you through the process of how to make this beautiful caramel syrup. There's also vanilla syrup that I want to make as well, but that won't be today. I also needed to make some condensed milk, sweetened condensed milk, because I don't have any in the cupboard and I don't want to go near a shopping centre to purchase one single item. So the only thing I needed to go to the shops for in the past 2.5 months was Vegemite, rice and corn flour. They're the 3 things I needed, and that's what I purchased when I was out this last week. And fresh fruit, I take that back, and fresh fruit when I was at the markets. Watermelon and bananas, because we don't have bananas at the moment. But I don't want to go near a supermarket to purchase condensed milk because I possibly would end up buying something else, and I can make this myself at home, which is what we've done. Obviously, it's in my hand. So I'm going to show you how we go about doing that. Currently dehydrating some sour cream. That's because I want to make Alfredo pasta mix, the powder, to make the Alfredo pasta sauce. So I want to store that in a jar, and I need sour cream powder. We don't have sour cream powder available anywhere. I've even put in my herb or iHerb bulk order, and they don't have sour cream powder either. So I've made my own. So we'll go through that process as well. It's still dehydrating, so I'll have to add that on the end of the video. Also needed to make some brown sugar, something I will not pay money for. I will not buy brown sugar when you can make it yourself. Again, 2 ingredients, simple to make. So let's go ahead and fill up some much needed items in the pantry, and then I will head back outside and hopefully, if it doesn't blow us away with this wind, get the roof on the stable. If not, at least the veggie beds are going to be replanted by the end of today. All right, let's get to making some simple pantry items. We can all do this.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're going to be doing some dehydrating of sour cream. Strange, you might ask me why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm making Alfredo pasta mix in a jar so that I can use it later on, and I need dehydrated sour cream powder, which is not available here, so I'm going to make it myself. So I've done some research as well, and I have got all my equipment organised to turn our regular thickened sour cream into a powder. It's going to take a couple of days, so we've got a few steps to follow. So let's go. So my dehydrator has the centre hole for the airflow to come up from the base of it. It's a Devanti 7-tiered dehydrator, and it's got these trays, but they're too wide, obviously, to be putting a liquid in. So I'm going to use one of the silicone really fine mesh sheets and layer the sour cream on it instead. I've looked at the flat ones as well, the silicone flat trays. However, they don't fit the machine really well and they don't allow the airflow. And I know that these ones work because I've done this in the past. So just going to spread the sour cream out over this and then get it into the dehydrator. So that step's simple, just spreading out. This is 300 mils, and I can get 2 trays when I spread it out over this, and the cream won't go through and it still gets lots of airflow. So I'll do that step and get it into the dehydrator and start drying it, because it does take about 12 hours. All right, we've come back at 60 degrees for 12 hours, 13 hours exactly, to be honest, close to it, but overnight and for 12 hours. The cream has been dehydrating, so we'll have a look and see what stage we're at now. So after 12 hours, it should pull away from the silicone tray, just like that. So that's really good. That's the first step. Now we need to break it all up into smaller pieces and put it back in the dehydrator once again. So while I break all this up, I also need to get myself a different tray to put it in. So you can still see there's like an oily surface to it, which is okay. It just means I need to dehydrate it even further, and breaking it up will help me to do that as well. So I'm going to break it all up and I'm going to let it chill in the fridge until it's completely cooled for about 3 or 4 hours, and then back into the dehydrator again for another few hours. Now, after that dehydrating for 12 or 13 hours, the only thing in the base of my dehydrator is a little bit of oil. That's all. So none of the cream has fallen through those mesh liners, which is really good. Quick clean up and it's done again, ready to use again. So I'm just going to lift up my sheets, and into a bowl I'm just going to put them all. Just going to line the bottom of the tray that they're going to be sitting in, just because there is a little bit of oil, like I said, still. We're trying to get out all of the moisture, and excess oil is not going to help at all. So I'm just going to fold over the sheets, break it all up, and we'll come back and have a look at all of our sour cream powder. Onto the second tray. So this was the bottom tray. So because it's still warm, it's quite oily. Sour cream obviously has a high fat content. So we just want to try to get all of that off the sheets. And then any that's left on the sheets is okay, because it's going to go back into the dehydrator and continue to dry the sheets themselves. So anything that's left on them, it's not going to get wasted, and it's going to continue to dry into a much more finer powder, while the rest of the cream is in the refrigerator chilling. So just because of the temperature of my hands, it's starting to make the cream quite soft again as far as the oil levels of it. So I'm just going to scrape the tray back using just a cool spatula, just to get most of it off the silicone sheet, and then I'll put it all back into the dehydrator to dry one more time. So there is still some, not much, but left on the sheet. So I'll just put it back on a tray and then back into the dehydrator and turn it back on at 60 again, just to continue drying. Okay, so that's our sour cream that's been dried for the last 13 hours, 12 hours in the dehydrator at 60 degrees. So it's already nice and dry, but it's still got quite a high oil content to it yet. So like I said, because it is a dairy product, I am going to put it back in the refrigerator just to let this fully cool down. Although it is a reasonably cool morning, it wouldn't take long, but I just want it to fully cool down before it goes back in the dehydrator. Now back in the dehydrator are the 2 trays that I already had used with the excess silicone tray liners, and also just the leftover sour cream. So I'll pop the machine back on again, and I'm just going to set it for a couple of hours. Time doesn't matter when you're using them. Couple of hours just while the remain of that dried cream at 60 degrees, and just while this is back in the refrigerator cooling, and then I'll put it all back in, and then it'll do the next process, which will fully dry it out and then I can grind it up. That's step 1 or 2, I suppose. Step 2, done. Alrighty then, so on to the next job. I need to do some caramel syrup to go in the coffees that I made up throughout the week. I'd made up some instant cappuccino powders, mocha powders, and a hot chocolate powder, but I'm low on the caramel syrup that goes into it, so I'm going to make some as well. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, same amount of sugar as same amount of water. I've got some small passata bottles that I'm going to be filling. They're 275 mils, so I'm going to do 2 of those in the caramel syrup. So I need 550 grams of sugar and 550 mils of water. So because it does reduce down a little bit during the cooking time, I've done 650 grams of sugar. Yes, it's a lot of sugar, but you only have 30 mils at a time, so it's not such a big deal. And now I just need to add the water and get this on the stove. So we're just going to cook that, stirring it just until the sugar dissolves, until it turns a nice caramel colour. I'm going to be water bathing these syrups as well so that they last longer, but you can keep them for a couple of weeks in the fridge. There's just no way that I would go through a bottle in a couple of weeks. So I'll be water bathing them, and any excess I will put into the refrigerator to use straight away. We'll come back once this has happened. It takes probably a good 30 minutes to simmer and then to change colour so it becomes that nice caramel syrup colour. And just one final ingredient is just a teaspoon of the molasses. You can have as much or as little as you like. I just need a teaspoon is all I usually put in. So because this is a double recipe, I'll do 2 teaspoons. That should be plenty. And while I've got the molasses out, I might as well do some brown sugar as well because I'm low on that for baking as well. So I'm just restocking my pantry at the moment. Now, obviously, if you don't have the molasses, that's okay. You can just continue to cook it without it. It doesn't make any difference. It just gives that really rich, as you can see, caramel colour to the syrup. So I'm just stirring, making sure that's well dissolved. We'll come back to this because I'm going to move on now to do the brown sugar and condensed milk, 2 more items that I need in the pantry. Okay, so moving on to do the brown sugar. All I need is some caster sugar in a food processor or just a little blitzer machine, which is what I'm going to use. You can do this by hand, it just the machines make it a lot quicker. It's because I need brown sugar when I do my peanut cookies, so I'm running low. So I need to fill that jar back up again, and it's only 2 ingredients, and it saves me needing to go to a shop to buy any of them. So caster sugar and just some molasses. The only reason I have molasses normally is for the pony, because she gets this with her chaff in the morning. Not this particular jar, but a jar of this, and not the whole jar. She just gets a couple of spoons as well. So I'm just going to put 3 spoons in because I like it quite dark. I've got a light brown sugar as well that I use, but this one we're going to make a dark brown sugar. So it's our molasses with our sugar, caster sugar, and I'm just going to put the lid on and blitz this up in the machine. So once that's all incorporated, we've got ourselves our beautiful brown sugar. Now, if you don't have molasses, you can always use golden syrup. The funny thing about golden syrup, it's just a melted version of this, cooked on a stove till it's syrup consistency. So if I needed golden syrup, because I had run out of that as well, all you need is your brown sugar that's just been heated on a stove until it reaches the consistency of syrup. Okay, back to the caramel syrup, which is cooking on the stove. So first we'll just put the brown sugar into the jar, and that way that's ready for baking. Now, once this is done, I can then use the sugar to make the cookies, like I said, which is what I need to do. So that's our brown sugar. Simple. Alrighty, on to the next pantry filler. I'm still working on the caramel syrup, which is cooking on the stove. That'll take about half an hour. But I also still need to make condensed milk to make my recipes today, because I do want to make the oat and condensed milk bars again. And I don't have any condensed milk in the shelves. So let's make some condensed milk as well. Okay, we're going to make condensed milk. 2 ingredients, full cream milk and sugar. 3 cups of full cream milk and 1 cup of sugar. And we're just going to cook that until it thickens and caramelizes. quick and simple, another simple kitchen pantry mainstay that I don't need to go out to purchase. Caramel sauce is still bubbling away, so while the stove's on, 3 cups of milk, 1 cup of sugar. It's a sunny day, which means there is power being generated by the solar system in order for me to do a few of these quick jobs as I'm about to head outside as well. So I've still got a lot to do. Already fed all the animals, of course, but still have other jobs to do. Let's get something to stir this while it's starting to... This, unfortunately, you can't leave the stove once this starts cooking because I don't want to scald the milk. So we'll come back when this is ready. It will yield me about a 350 or so jar of condensed milk. I need 325 mils for the recipe that I make, so that's perfect. Only doing a small batch. I don't need any excess, and I can make this up as I go when I'm needing to use it for recipes and things like that. So it doesn't take long to make, and we're just going to turn this into condensed milk, or sweetened condensed milk. You can take it further and turn it into the caramel condensed milk and have that as a caramel tart topper if you wish to, but I don't need to take it that far. I just need to reduce this down enough so it's nice and thick and that sugar has caramelized. Rightio, so after 20 minutes, just under 20 minutes of decently boiling, this sugar syrup has caramelized really well. This has got the molasses in it as well. So I'm just going to turn off the heat and just let that cool down a little bit before I transfer it into the jars and water bath it. And then my caramel syrup for the coffees is completed. Meanwhile, I'm still working on the condensed milk as well. So it's also now coming up to temperature as well. So I'll just have to keep an eye on that until it also reduces down. And then that's also finished. Meanwhile, I've got 25 kilos of sugar that I need to transfer, because if you live on acreage like we do, the sugar I opened a couple of days ago to fill up one of my other containers, and I thought I had enough time, a couple of days, wasn't going to be leaving it for long, to transfer it. But those little bitty tiny things, they're ants. Okay, not a big deal. I can sift all this out and get rid of those ants. So I've got about 20 kilos or so of sugar to sort out as well. Lesson learned, don't leave an open bag of sugar in the house, because the cheeky little ants will come and steal my sugar. All right, this is a year's supply of sugar for us, by the way. We don't go through 25 kilos of sugar randomly. This is a year's supply, so I do need to preserve it. So definitely got to get rid of those ants, and obviously I'm not going to spray anything on them, so it's just going to all have to be sifted. Just another job that I didn't need to do today. Now it's added to my list of things to do. Oh well. So the caramel sauce is now cooled down enough. I've warmed up 2 of my jars, and I'll just transfer into 2 jars, and I'll be water bathing these as well. So that's our caramel syrup, ready to be used for milkshakes or into a coffee as well in the morning instead of purchasing caramel syrup. Simple to make, just using sugar and water. So that's a consistency, perfect for adding to coffees. So this one's going to go in the fridge, and this one I'm going to water bath with other things that I'm water bathing today as well, so I'm not wasting the power. Alright, so after 30 minutes, the evaporated milk, or what was once milk, is now almost ready. Probably just another 5 minutes, and then I can strain it and it's ready as well. Just another job, simple to do, and it's going to go with the oats to make the caramel oat slice. Okay, so I've just brought it back up to the boil. I just want to get that lovely caramel colour that you have with condensed milk that's been sweetened. So it's almost there. Probably just take another minute and then I can turn off the heat. It smells amazing, as it does smell so much better than what you could purchase, but it's exactly the same ingredients, sugar and fresh milk, except this way I've got control. Alright, just cooled that down slightly. It tastes perfect. Just the right taste for sweetened condensed milk. It's going to transfer that into a jar, and we'll see how much we end up with. So we started with 3 cups of milk, and so we're just over 250 mils, probably 275 odd mils. So equals about 1 can of condensed milk, and it's cost me 3 cups of milk and 1 cup of sugar. Is it cheaper to make it yourself? Probably not. But since I'm doing such a lot of work today with sugar and I'm restocking the pantry, it doesn't hurt to add that to my pantry, because I did need to make condensed milk in order to make my condensed milk or caramel
oat bars. That's another job done. Alrighty, the last container of sugar. So I'm just doing a final sift through before I then use the sifter as well. This is how to deal with ants. And good thing the sugar is white and these little ants are black. They're easy enough to find. And then once this is done, I'll put it through the fine mesh sifter as well. And then as the sugar falls through, I'll be able to see if I've missed any as well. Now I've got a basin of water. I'm just doing this in the sink. So I've got a basin of water as well on the outside. So as I pick up the ants, I just drop them straight into the water. That way they're not crawling back up the container into the sugar. And then from there, we'll put it through the strainer. And then as the sugar falls, I'll be able to see, like just there, if I've missed anything, like a little ant, because I don't want any ants in the stored sugar. Now, I've filled all the sugar containers. Today is Sugar Saturday, clearly, and I've got lots of other jobs to do as well. So I've been down to the paddock early this morning, which is fine, nothing new about that. But I found a horrible tick on my pony. We have paralysis ticks here. And although it's not going to affect the pony having a paralysis tick, she's got a little bit of a wound where the damn animal has been sucking away at her neck, just underneath her jaw. So I'll go down there and give her some treatment, medical treatment, some antibiotics for that, and just give her a bit of a clip and a shave just so I can check on her to make sure she's still okay, and put all the collars back on the goats, because sometimes the ticks do affect my goats. And 2 of them have already had anti-venom in the past when they were kids and much smaller goats. So I'll just go down and just do a check. It's because we've got bandicoots down the back. We've got bandicoots everywhere, but they're really down the back at the moment. So the bandicoots here are native animals and they do carry ticks, which is a problem. So I need to go down there and sort that as well. So moving on to the next job while I finish off doing the sugar. And then I never want to do sugar again. That said, this is my fault. I left the bag of sugar open in the house. It was sealed up, like covered up. Oh, that was an ant. It was covered back over itself, so it wasn't exposed, but there were obviously ants that do come in through the back windows because we've got louvered windows, and so we do get the odd ant that comes crawling through the house. And I'd left some caramel syrup on the windowsill that was open, not sealed up properly, and that's what's attracted the ants as well as the change of weather. So I've just got to put some ant sand around the windowsill as well to get rid of them and stop them coming into my pantry area. Another job, and then seal all the sugar up so they don't get back into my sugar next time. And there we go, finally, the end of the sugar all nice and clean and sifted, which it needed doing anyway because I had quite a few lumps in it because it had been sitting for a little while. And there's my ants that are no longer in my sugar. Horrible little creatures, right? So I've got a mess to clean up, and it's a very sticky mess. Radio, on to the next job. I just got the lawnmower repaired. My husband helped me because we'd gone down the back paddock, and I had a lovely big log that the excavator had dug up that I didn't know was there, and I'd run over it and got it stuck inside underneath the deck where the blades spin around. So we've just pulled that off, so I'm just going to head down and give the back paddock its final mow, and then I'll come back and do some more of the sour cream. Okay, so it's been a few hours, and all of the little shards of the sour cream are now nice and crispy and dried from the refrigerator. So they're nice and cold. So I'm going to put them back into the dehydrator once more to finish the drying process. Probably take at least another 4, if not longer, hours. I want this really dry so that I can turn this into a powder, like I said, so that I can make my Alfredo cheese mix and have that prepared in a jar ready to mix up whenever I'm making my pasta. So into the dehydrator we go again, 60 degrees for as long as it takes. I'll come back and let you know how long that is. Okay guys, we've come back the next day, so 12 hours. I let it dry overnight and a few hours yesterday as well. And it's now really cold outside, so it's perfect time to be doing this. It's completely dehydrated and nice and dry now.
I'm going to transfer this into the refrigerator completely to chill it down, although it's only 8 degrees, so it's not much cooler in a refrigerator. But I want to completely chill this down and have it cold before I put it into the spice grinder to grind it into a powder. I could just leave it in the jar as is, break it up a little bit more, but I want it quite fine. And then I'm going to mix it with some corn flour just to prevent it caking back together during the mixing process. So I'll just put it in the fridge and let this completely cool down and dry out. So a big difference from yesterday is how easy it is to now remove it from the silicone baking sheet, just the leftover amount. The rest has already been transferred, but this residual cream on the tray, or the sheet, just simply slides off. So that's a really good sign that it's nice and dry. Probably didn't need to stay in the dehydrator as long, but you can't over dry a product. To rehydrate this, if you wanted to rehydrate it, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 tablespoon of the powder and 1 tablespoon of water. Let it sit for about 5 minutes or so that it rehydrates again, and then it just needs to be blended up together again to make it nice and creamy. Sometimes you don't need to do the blending. It depends on what the sour cream is, whether it's a full fat cream that you've used or whether you've used a light cream. All right, I'm going to get this remainder into the bowl and then into the refrigerator, and then I will come back when it's turned into a powder. Okay, my fault, forgot to press record. Alrighty, so have put my shards of sour cream with 2 teaspoons of corn flour, mixed that together, put it into my spice grinder, and have ground it up. And this is the result. Very happy with that. So that is my sour cream powder. That's now ready to store. I'm going to store it in the refrigerator, even though it's dehydrated. Because it's dairy, I am going to store this in the refrigerator. And I'm going to use it to do Alfredo pasta mix, as well as a sour cream and chive mix to go on mashed potatoes. And I'm also going to use this for my baking. And I'm going to do some sour cream and cheese crackers as well. So, successful. Did take a little while, but I'm really happy with the results. So I've ended up with quite a bit, actually. I think I'm going to end up with a 1/2 pint jar. We'll see. So there you go, 1/2 pint jar. So I have no idea what the cost of powdered sour cream is, or dehydrated sour cream, because we can't get it here in Australia. However, I'm pretty sure making it myself, I've used product that was getting close to its end date anyway, so it needed to be dealt with. Plus I need this for cooking, so I'm really happy with the results of that. And I have got some obviously different baking and cooking things to do and experimenting. All good fun. Thanks for joining me. Bye now.